You're listening to Coupled With, the podcast that helps you take the guesswork out of feeling seen, heard, and valued in your relationship. If you've ever felt stuck in the same arguments, struggled to stay connected, or wondered how to better communicate with your partner, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Rachel Orlick, a couples therapist and coach, and together, we're going to make relationships make sense. Let's dive in. There's something strangely exposing about the end of the year. You're sitting on the couch in late December, after the holiday chaos settles in, or while the tree lights are still glowing, and your brain starts doing its quiet, involuntary scan of the year. Not necessarily the big milestones, but the emotional ones. The moments you felt close, the moments you didn't, the repairs that happened, and the ones that still feel unfinished. And even in strong relationships, there's often a little whisper. Should we feel more connected than we do right now? Culturally, we treat this time of year like a relationship checkpoint, as if December magically produces intimacy or alignment. And when that doesn't happen, people start thinking something is wrong. But what I hear from clients over and over is that the holidays don't create closeness. They amplify whatever was already happening beneath the surface. The tension feels louder, the distance is heavier, the longing feels sharper. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because our systems are craving warmth at the exact moment we have the least capacity to offer it. So let's name that right away. The end of the year is not a test that you're supposed to pass. It's not a performance review for your relationship. Real connection right now isn't built through perfect plans or cinematic holiday moments. It's built through presence, consistent presence over time, through honest repair, through noticing the small places where you've drifted and choosing gently to come back towards each other. That's what we're talking about today. Connection as a practice, not performance. One of the biggest patterns I see in December is what I call the emotional audit. You don't consciously decide to do it, it just kind of happens. Suddenly, everything from the year turns into a data point. Did we argue too much? Did we grow? Are we closer or quietly drifting away? Even in stable relationships, people slide into this calculation mindset, especially when they're stretched thin or disappointed by how the year unfolded. This isn't about being critical. It's the nervous system scanning for closure. Endings make us reflective. They make loose ends feel heavier. And when culture tells us the holidays are supposed to be the most connected time of the year, any distance feels like a red flag. Clients say things like, I just want to end the year on a good note. But underneath, that desire is often pressure, and pressure makes us less connected rather than allowing it to happen naturally. One couple I worked with planned elaborate end-of-year resets every December. Trips, deep conversations, romantic gestures, all in hopes that it would magically create closeness. But beneath the planning lived unspoken tension and accumulated hurt. Each year ended the same way. One partner feeling let down, and the other feeling like they somehow failed the test. The problem wasn't effort or love. It was the expectation that connection could be engineered on command. And right here, before we move into the nervous system, I want to ground this in a story of how patterns get louder at the holidays. I'm thinking of a couple I worked with, where the holidays triggered a pattern neither of them recognized at first. One partner became incredibly self-critical every December. They replayed the year in their mind, tallying every argument, every misstep, every moment they wished they'd shown up better. And instead of sharing any of this, they went quiet because they didn't want to, quote, ruin the holidays or burden their partner with their own shame. Meanwhile, their partner saw the silence and interpreted it as disinterest or emotional distance. They told me, "It feels like I lose you every December, and I don't know how to get you back." After the holidays, the quiet would escalate. The partner who went inward felt frozen in shame and completely overwhelmed by the idea of fixing the year. The other partner, already feeling disconnected, became more anxious and more vocal, which only pushed the self-critical partner further into retreat. By mid-January, they weren't just dealing with holiday stress anymore. They were stuck in a cycle that felt unbreakable. Not because they didn't love each other, but because the pressure of the end of the year scoreboard made one partner collapse inward and the other panic outward. This is what December tends to do. It turns up the volume on whatever has been simmering. Now, let's talk about what's happening internally. December isn't just busy, it's dysregulating. Your routine shifts, your sleep changes, your social load spikes, and when your system is already carrying too much, your capacity for closeness shrinks. This isn't because you don't care, but your body is operating on low battery. That makes even tiny moments feel heavier than they normally would. The nervous system is constantly scanning. Am I safe? Am I connected? Am I understood? During the holidays, those signals get scrambled. You're tired, your partner is tired, tone misfires, body languages get misread. A quiet mood can feel like rejection. A delayed response can feel like distance. This isn't relational failure, it's physiology. December also wakes up emotional layers, family dynamics, memories of the past, unresolved grief, comparison, and nostalgia. Even the environment can cue your body into past states. So if you feel more sensitive, more reactive, more withdrawn, or more triggered, your body isn't malfunctioning, it's remembering. Where couples get stuck is in the misinterpretation of these cues. We confuse a taxed nervous system with a disconnected relationship. We tell ourselves, if we were okay, this wouldn't feel so hard. But the truth is, your capacity drops long before your love does. Connection becomes harder, not because anything is actually wrong with your relationship, but because your system is focused on protection instead of openness. When we start to understand this, the entire season starts to make more sense. This isn't failing at intimacy. You're just navigating a month that asks for more when people just naturally have nothing left in the tank. When people start to imagine end of year connection, they're often picturing something big, like the deep talk or a romantic night or some kind of reset. But in reality, most couples enter December exhausted. One partner is reaching for closeness, hoping for a meaningful moment, and the other is bracing without even realizing it. This mismatch creates tension that feels personal when it's actually just about low capacity at this time of year. Trying to force a moment has a very particular feel. You're trying to manufacture something, a feeling, instead of being present enough to let it just emerge. So you might overplan, you might bring up something meaningful at the wrong time, or you might push for closeness because you're afraid of ending the year feeling distant. And even with good intentions, it lands like pressure instead of actual intimacy. Your body catches the mismatch before your mind does. Real connection, especially in December, is much quieter. It's grounded. It's small. It's noticing your partner's tired face and softening instead of interpreting this as a threat. It's starting to name one true thing instead of crafting the perfect conversation. It might be sitting near each other in silence without assuming that that silence is distance. Connection doesn't show up stronger when you push harder. It shows up when the pressure loosens. I have worked with clients where we've focused our attention on one small shift, like just putting your phone down when your partner walks into the room. And their partner naturally opened up. Not because that was a forced conversation, but because it actually created a feeling of more openness and more desirability. That's the real difference. Effortful connection versus honest connection. One lives in your head and the other lives in your body. And in a season where everyone's capacity is low, the honest version is just the one that works. So again, you don't need a ritual or a script at this time of year. You don't need a big talk. You need one small opening. So I want to offer you the simplest entry point I know, a micro bridge. It's just one sentence. Before this year ends, I want to feel a little bit more connected by ... That's it. You finish it with something tiny, doable, and honest. I want to sit together without our phones for 10 minutes. I want to tell you one thing I appreciated about you this year. I want to share one feeling without worrying about getting it perfectly right. This honors your actual bandwidth. It avoids pressure. It creates connection without demanding emotional intensity. It's not a solution. This is a signal that says, I still want to meet you right here. These are micro bridges that you can work on all throughout the year. I work with my clients on these all the time. And as we prepare to close out this episode, I want to remind you, you don't need a perfect ending to this year. You need a gentle one. Connection doesn't come from resolutions or orchestrated intimacy. It comes from presence, from noticing when you're slipping into old patterns and coming back to yourself, from small gestures that matter far more than the polished ones. If this season feels tender or overwhelming, it doesn't mean your relationship is in trouble. It means you're human. It means that your nervous system is carrying more than usual. It means you're sensing things that were previously easier to ignore when life was moving faster. This is awareness, and awareness gives you a choice. So let this be a soft landing into the new year. Let yourself feel what you feel. Let connection be something quiet and real rather than something curated. Choose one micro bridge. Offer one moment of truth. Notice your partner's face and let yourself soften towards it. And if you're wondering how to build this connection, not just at the end of the year, but all year long, that's exactly what I work with my clients on doing. So you don't have to do this alone. All right, we're taking a holiday pause, and I'm going to be back with you on January 5th. I hope your season gives you at least a few honest, grounded moments of connection. Happy New Year, and I'll see you soon. And if you happen to live in the state of Washington, I currently have 1 to 2 openings in my private practice for new therapy clients. If you've been wanting support to break old patterns and build more secure, connected relationships, you can learn more or inquire at www.meaningfuljourneycounseling.com. And don't worry, I'll leave it in my show notes. That's it for today's episode of Coupled With. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to hit subscribe so you never miss what's next. And if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review. It really helps more than you know. And if you're curious about how we might work together or want more resources to strengthen your relationship, head over to my website, www.drrachelorlick.com. You'll find free tools, podcast extras, and ways to go deeper. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.